Yeah,
for the average listener who is not psychological enthusiasts like us,
right.
could we have a brief definition on neurofeedback and even in contrast to CBT as well?
Well, so CBT is talk therapy. And CBT, there are very few practitioners that practice pure CBT. It's just too tedious, I think. And most people practice sort of an eclectic talk therapy. Neurofeedback is totally different. Neurofeedback is where you do a brain map to find out how the brain is functioning under each of a number of sites on the scalp. So in my case, it depends on what I'm doing. I usually um, up around 20 sites. And what I'm looking for is what's the relative and absolute power there? So how much electricity is the brain producing as it thinks or as it thinks or controls or whatever. And then how is that particular site talking to another site on the brain? Now, it could be talking too fast or too slow. It could be talking in a very complex fashion, or it could be talking in a very simple fashion. It could have an amplitude that is out of balance with the other site. All of those complicate the performance of the individual. And so what we have to do is we have to identify where are the areas that are producing those types of anomalies, and then design a training program that teaches the brain to behave in a more normal fashion. And so it becomes a matter of operant conditioning. We show the person a picture and we pair it with sounds. And when his brain is doing what more closely resembles a normal performance, the picture moves or the person hears a tone or something like that that produces a reward. And this is extremely effective. You know, these days, we still have lots of kids that go in for attention deficit disorder and are given stimulants, Ritalin, etc. 85% of kids with attention deficit disorder can be effectively trained using neurofeedback so they don't display symptoms. And there's no medication.
Wow.
85%. And yet, this hasn't been approved by the government. It's not a part of many health programs. And it's expensive because it does take a commitment on behalf of the parents. Now, that's for attention deficit disorder. The same thing is true for trauma. I work with a number of people who are traumatized by industrial accidents or by service in the military or as first responders. All of those people, if they're coming for neurofeedback, unless they have a really good plan, are paying out of pocket. And so that's the downside. The upside, you do neurofeedback, generally increase your IQ from 9 to 20 points, and it improves your memory. If you happen to play a musical instrument, it'll advance you about one conservatory grade, so 1 year of study, just by using neurofeedback. That's how powerful it is.
That's significant.
Yeah, well, it's absolutely huge because of the amount of money it saves, the absolute amount of pain that it saves for the individuals. You know, if you're dealing with night terrors where every night you wake up screaming because of an event that you went through, and I can relieve that, that's pretty significant.
How about for a woman, Len, that never feels safe or generally typically doesn't feel safe in her own body because she's had some form of domestic abuse or intimate partner abuse?
Same thing. You know, if you can teach the woman to self-regulate on demand, then that becomes under her control, where the trauma has taken it away from her. It has placed it under, well, it's still under her control, but it's the body trying to preserve itself.